Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. What verse today is it? Huh? 64, 65. Okay, all together, please. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stavitam Yena Bhutale Shrayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarva-duḥkhānāṁ Prijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamshta Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Translation and commentary His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Today's verses are 64 and 65, chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized. Correct?
Yes.
Oh, very famous verse. Because there's two verses, we'll just do line by line. Please repeat. Raga dvesha vimuktestu Vishayan indrayascharan Admavashya vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati prasāde sarva-duḥkhānāṁ hānir asyopajāyate prasanna-cetaso buddhiḥ paryavatiṣṭhate Raga dvesha vimuktestu Vishayan indrayascharan Atmavashya vidyayatma prasadam adhigacchati prasāde sarva-duḥkhānāṁ hānir asyopajāyate prasanna-cetaso buddhiḥ paryavatiṣṭhate. Okay, go ahead. Agavesha vimuktestu prasadam adhigacchati. Mataji, go ahead. Raga-dvesha vimuktestu indriyan indriyascharan atma-vashya vidyayatma prasadam adhigacchati prasāde sarva-duḥkhānāṁ hānir upajāyate prasanna-cetaso buddhiḥ paryavatiṣṭhate Raga-dvesha vimuktestu atma-vashya vidyatma prasadam adhigacchate prasāde sarva-duḥkhānāṁ hānir asyopajāyate prasanna-cetaso buddhiḥ paryavatiṣṭhate. Okay, word for word, please repeat. Number 64. Raga, attachment. Dvesha, and detachment. Vimukteḥ, by one who has become free from. 2. But vishayan, sense objects. Indriyar, by the senses. Charan, acting upon. Atma-vashya, under one's control. Vidya atma, one who follows regulative freedom. Prasadam, the mercy of the Lord. Adhigacchati, attains. So we'll do number 65 also. Prasāde, an achievement of the causeless mercy of the Lord. Sarva, of all. Duḥkhānāṁ, material miseries. Hāniḥ, destruction. Asya, his. Upajāyate, takes place. prasanna-cetasaḥ, of the happy-minded. He, certainly. Asyo, oh, 1 minute. Very soon. Buddhiḥ, intelligence. Pari, sufficiently. Avatiṣṭhate, becomes established. So, translation 64. But a person freed from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Please repeat. But a person free from all attachment and aversion, unable to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom, can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So, 65. For one thus satisfied in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. Please repeat. For one thus satisfied in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. Purport number 64. Purport Srila Prabhupada. It is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process. But unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is every chance of a fall. Excuse me. Although the person in full Kṛṣṇa consciousness may apparently be on the sensual plane, because of his being Kṛṣṇa conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. The Kṛṣṇa conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Kṛṣṇa and nothing else. Therefore he is transcendental to all attachment and detachment. If Kṛṣṇa wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. And if Kṛṣṇa does not want, he shall not do that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act is within his control, because he acts only under the direction of Kṛṣṇa. This consciousness is the causeless mercy of the Lord, which the devotee can achieve in spite of his being attached to the sensual platform. So, very nice purport by Srila Prabhupada, to the point. Raga dvesha vimukteshtu vishayan indriyascharan atma varshaya vidyatma prasadam adigashyati prasāde sarva-duḥkhānāṁ hānir asyopajāyate prasanna-cetaso hyosu buddhiḥ paryavatiṣṭhate Makam karochi vācālam pangam laite girim yar kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru dinatarinam. But a person freed from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. For one thus satisfied in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon established. Yes, so this is prayojan tattva. Sambandha abhidaya prayojan. Sambandha means relationships between Kṛṣṇa and his energies, and between those energies. Abhidaya means how to perform bhakti. And prayojan means the goal, the necessity, that which is required. So this is describing the state of somebody who has attained prayojan, at least to some extent. He's not shaken by the material energy. So this is the goal, to become liberated from the material energy and attached to the spiritual energy. Liberated from the Maya Shakti, the material illusion, and to enter into relationship with Kṛṣṇa. So this section of the Gita is very important. This section, these verses are in response to Arjuna's earlier question: how do we perceive who is transcendentally situated, who is qualified? So that is very pertinent, because we want to follow the correct person. We don't want to follow a charlatan. We want to follow somebody who's actually qualified. And that is there in the 5th canto, Mahatmanas Tamanpatha. Devim Prakritim Ashrita. That's in the Gita. But also in teachings of Lord Rishabdev, right? Mahatas Dwaram Mahatsevam Dwaram Aho Vimuktes. So servant to that person in the spiritual energy is the doorway to liberation, and thereby the stepping stone to attachment, Because two sides of the coin are there. Freedom from the Maya Shakti and attachment to the spiritual energy. So, Mahat Sevam Dwaram Aho Vimuktes. So we should be able to recognize who is qualified, who is a correct object of service. If we serve the wrong person, then there are statements in the Shastra, if you serve a bogus person, you're going to hell along with him. And also in the Gita, Krishna is explaining that verse, Yanti Deva Vrataya. If you worship the Devas, you'll go to the Devas. If you worship the forefathers, you'll go there. If you worship ghosts and spirits, you'll go there. And if you worship me, you'll come to me. So the way that Krishna is attained is through the sadhu. Yasha prasāda bhagavat prasādo. You get the mercy of the sadhu by following his instructions. Right? It says here, you can attain the complete mercy of the Lord by following the regulative principles of freedom. So the correct guru will give the correct sadhana, the correct way to do bhajan, the correct way to become liberated. That is there also in the 12th chapter, Devotional Service. After Arjuna has seen the Virat Rupa, the next chapter is Devotional Service. So there's a little discussion which is best, the impersonal conception or the personal conception. Krishna says the personal is best. But then he says, just fix your mind without cessation upon me. So that is bhava bhakti, that is prem bhakti. Just like Queen Kunti at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, she said, Krishna, may our devotion flow to you just like the Ganga always flows to the sea. And Prabhupada in purports and lectures, he explains that the Ganga is a massive river. There may be so many obstructions, but the Ganga just overcomes them. So yes, Queen Kunti, the Pandavas, they had so many problems in the material energy, you could say, because of Duryodhana. Of course, they are under Yogamaya, but their devotion just flowed to the sea. So that is what Queen Kunti prayed for. And there also in the story of Prahlad Maharaj, in purports their lectures, Prabhupada explains that Prahlad Maharaj's consciousness always flowed to Krishna without break, without cessation. So that is described there in the beginning of the 12th chapter, where Krishna says, yes, just fix your mind without deviation. But that can be done through prem bhav, through bhava bhakti, through love, awakened soul. But if you cannot do that, then follow the regulative principles of freedom. And then he says a very interesting thing. Krishna says, and in that way you will attain you will awaken the desire to attain me. So through the regulative principles, we awaken the desire. And those regulative principles are the gift of the properly qualified guru. We discussed that last week, right? Shrotriyam Brahmanishtakyam in the Manduka Upanishad. Just two words are given. Shrotriyam, the qualified guru, he should be learned in the Vedas. He should know the Vedanta. He should know the goal of the Vedas. That's Krishna. He should know the Dashamula. And if he's going to be a big guru in a public sense, he should be able to answer all arguments. Just like we have that Namaste Saraswati Deva. You can answer all the voidistic arguments. You can answer all the impersonalistic arguments. You can overcome them, and you can establish Gauravani, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, personalism. So Shrotriyam, and then Brahmanishtakyam. That means same thing, Devim Prakritim. That person somebody may be learned in the Vedas to a certain extent, and a certain liberation and spiritual qualification is there, but the Guru should be Brahmanishta. And that is the start of Vaishnavism. You know from Rupa Goswami, right? Ato Shraddha, the beginning faith, then Sadhu Sangha, so then Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya, from the assembly, the Sangha of sadhus, you get the sadhana. And then through Bhajana Kriya, what will you get? Anatha nivritti, anatha, unwanted things, nivritti. Just like in the Bhagavatam, nasta prayeshu abhadreshu, that will be one of the prime instructions of the bona fide Guru. Study the Bhagavatam. Nasta moha smriti labdha, that in Kali Yuga, Dharma, you get everything from the Bhagavatam. That was one of the questions at Namisharanya. So you study it. But then, Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata-sevaya, by always studying Bhagavat philosophy, then passion and ignorance, Raga dvesha, Raga, and tamagun will become placated. So then in the mode of goodness you can understand philosophy, you can understand Kṛṣṇa, you can put your mind upon Kṛṣṇa, you can enter into an awakened brain. And that will be done through following the order of Guru. And of course that is the mercy of the Guru, his instructions. Sometimes people, I want your mercy. Okay, here's your mercy. Okay, bye now, I'm going to watch the cricket match on the television. No, the mercy of the Guru is to discipline, regulative principles of freedom, how to become free, anatha. So anatha nivritti, Guru's prasāde, Krishna's prasāde through the bona fide sadhu, then you become nishta, right, fixed. Because you're not, as it says here, you're above the attraction and repulsion of the material energy. Why? Because you're realizing Kṛṣṇa. So nishta actually means not that you're able to be detached from Maya. It means that you're becoming attached to Kṛṣṇa. So nishta, in the commentaries of Acharyas, Bhakti Vinod, Jaiva Dharma, that is the platform of the Vaishnava. Before that, Prakrita Bhakta is not properly purified. The lower modes are motivating him or clouding his consciousness. But when he's nishta, he's actually fixed, as that Mataji said last week, Jivara Swarupoi Nichara. So that's the real fixation. The fixation isn't that he's given up Maya, because Kṛṣṇa says that earlier, Raso Vrajam Raso Pyasya, that yes, you can give up Maya, but you can only give it up by being attached to the spiritual platform. This is the important point. You may fast, or you may discipline yourself for some time, but as we are, Kṛṣṇa is Leelamai, he is full of bliss, but he is also engaged in pastimes to enjoy the ocean of bliss. So we are Amsa of Kṛṣṇa, we are also of the same mentality. We don't want just renunciation, we want to enter into the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We want to. So, at the beginning, Kṛṣṇa consciousness, sadhana bhakti is buddhi-yogam. Many times you'll find earlier in the Sanskrit that sadhana bhakti is buddhi-yoga. Because you have to use your intelligence. You have to know this is to be done, it's not to be done, and this is to be done. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha. So you have to exert the intelligence. The Guru can give you instructions, but you have to have the desire. So that desire is cultivated by the regulative principles. So they go hand in hand. You must have enough initial desire. And this is exemplified by Sanatana Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He met Lord Chaitanya and then Kayami. So what am I and why am I suffering? So Prabhupada in lectures and purports, he explains this is the good position of the applicant for Krishna consciousness. He should be to some extent material renowned. I've had enough of this material world. He's not ambitious materially for dhanam, janam, sundaram, money, position, expansion of sex life, dynasties and so on. He is now thinking, oh, I see the paucity in this. Why? Because it's all temporary. You're spending all your energy to get something that you're going to lose. So, dukkhalayam asashvitam, and it's also miserable, and it's not satisfactory, because you're a spiritual being, but you're trying to accumulate material things. Therefore, these mad people in the material world, the Rakshasas, they're mad to get more and more power, more this, more that. But it doesn't work. So then they become more and more tamasic and destructive and very dangerous. This is the Rakshasa. The Rakshasas always leave a trail of destruction out of their frustration. But the devotee leaves a trail of beauty and creation, like Prabhupada created all these wonderful books. He left behind all these beautiful bhajans, translations. He created many beautiful temples. He expounded on the philosophy. He directed the painters. He taught everyone how to cook prasāde. He was so merciful. He was forgiving everyone if they weren't up to the mark, encouraging everyone. So the Vaishnava leaves a trail of beauty. That is, what is that? Palena parishit. That by the fruit they shall be known. I think it's in the Bible also. By the fruit they shall be known. So this is the important thing. If you want to enter samadhi, we discussed samadhi last week, you have to go through the instructions of the sadhu, not some electric shock that will just vibrate and free you. Like a monkey touching a electrical cable, you become liberated. No, you have to follow the good. And then the sign is that your desire to attain Kṛṣṇa will increase. So then you become nishtha. And that desire, just like the plant, when the spring comes, it feels the heat, the water is coming, so it desires to become more than just a seed. So the problem in the material world, people are spirit souls, but they're not blossomed into swarup. So sadhana bhakta, sadhu sangha, shastra, these blossom the soul. And the sign of that blossoming is desire to attain Kṛṣṇa, right? And that is there in all the sadhus, in all the spiritual world, right? What's that verse by Srinivasacharya? Hey Kṛṣṇa, Karuna. We're calling for Kṛṣṇa, but there's that verse. Sad Goswami has to come. Hey Nanda Suno, where are you? Are you on the bank of the Jamuna? Are you on Govardhan? Are you in the groves? Where are you, O son of Nanda Maharaj? Hey Nanda Suno Kutaho. So they're the 6 Goswamis, they're Manjaris, they're Ashtamanjaris, but they're exhibiting this Vipralamba. They're not feeling, oh, we've achieved Kṛṣṇa, let's relax on the bank of the Jamuna. No, they're searching for Kṛṣṇa. So that desire to attain Kṛṣṇa, that is the quality of the awakened soul. And that elevates him above the material energy. So we discussed last week the exercises we can do as given by Shastra, right, to free ourselves from the material energy. So, remember we explained that it's described later in the Gita, you'll see, that first we remove our focus from the griha, the paraphernalia of the body, the house, the land, the toothpaste, the smartphone, the cloth, the things external to the body. They depend upon the body. You remember we discussed all this? And they depend on the body, because as soon as you don't have that body, then you don't have that house, you don't have that wife, you don't have that smartphone. It devolves to somebody else. So all your external material paraphernalia are on your body. So in meditation, to become nishta, to awaken the soul, we can practice smaranam. I'm not this material paraphernalia, I'm the body. But then what is the body depending upon? The body is a manifestation of the mind, we can say, in the material sense. We get a body in accordance with our karma phal under supreme direction. So body is resting upon the mind. So then we withdraw further when we sit. And this is what should be done 3 times a day. Mantra. It's there in the prayers we sing every morning. 3 sandhya. We should dhyan, meditate upon the mercy of Guru. We should withdraw our attention, our focus from the griha. And then we withdraw our attention from the body to the mind. What does the mind rest upon? Consciousness, right? Chittam. The consciousness, when it's contaminated by the modes, is called chittam, and it is considered a material element in some categorizations, because the modes are mixed. But the soul is always pure. So within the consciousness, remember, what did we look? What did we find? We have iPad, we have iPhone, we have I-soul. So the I-soul, the soul is within the consciousness, right? So we can practice this. Sit down. I'm not this external paraphernalia, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm the consciousness. In the center of my consciousness is me, the soul. But remember we discussed, okay, you're a spirit soul. Kṛṣṇa tells Arjuna, you're a spirit soul. Very good. But what is the function? What is the function? Right? You see, the impersonalist, he will stop at this point. Oh, I'm spirit. I'm part of the universal consciousness. And the goal is to merge into this universal consciousness and become one and become Brahman. No. The Vaishnava Guru, the properly directed disciple, will understand that I am Jivara Swarupoy Nishera Kṛṣṇa Das. Right? So what does Bhagavad now? So you've withdrawn your consciousness from this external energy. You're situated in some remembrance of the soul. Right? Oh, I can feel myself. I've forgotten the temple president and the temple commander and the bad rickshaw wala yesterday. I'm situated within myself. Atma-stha. I'm overcoming the attraction and repulsion that's mentioned here. Raga dvesha. Now I'm situated in the soul. So this is the start of spiritual life. The spiritualist, he finds pleasure within, by being situated within himself. His focus is on the soul, and he is not focused in the flux of the material energy. Rajadvesha samuttena, which is very bewildering. Should I be a globalist? Should I be a communist? Should I be a capitalist, a nationalist? Should I be a philanthropist? What should I be? This is that. No. I should be a devotee. That's when the soul is becoming fruitful. That's when he's becoming understanding. So if he follows sadhana, these practices, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, then he will also develop the desire to serve. That is the problem. In the material world, people are desiring to serve themselves. So, lokoyam karma bandhana. They become bound by the laws of karma. But here, as Prabhupada said in the purport, the devotee, he only acts for the satisfaction of Kṛṣṇa. So, at the beginning stages of bhakti, that must be done under the direction of Guru, right? And Lord Chaitanya is very simple. Two things we have to remember. One is we should learn the philosophy, the Siddhanta, and we should propagate the Siddhanta. That is Lord Chaitanya's systemology. That is what Prabhupada did. He knew the philosophy. He was Shrotriyam. He became Brahmanishta by his purity. And then he went all over the world distributing the mercy of Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad philosophy. So you don't have to think in a complicated way. You should absorb the philosophy, the Dashamula, the philosophy of Krishna, and then you should propagate it. And then you become liberated. There's one, like we said last week, according to Wikipedia, which may not be the most reliable, I looked it up. I did some research, and it said there's 1,600 Upanishads. And out of that, 108 are considered primary. And the Ishopanishad, which Prabhupada translated, is considered the essence of all of them. And there are 18 verses only. So just think, what a good writer is Vedavyas, Vedanta-krit, that's Kṛṣṇa. He put all the Upanishad literature in 18 verses. So number 14, Sambhutim cha vinasham cha, yastad vedo bayam saha, vinashyena mritum tirva, sambhut amritam ashnute. One should know perfectly well about the personality of Godhead and his transcendental name, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men and animals. So this is first thing, first sentence. You should know perfectly well about Kṛṣṇa, his name and his activities. Janma karma tame divya. And then you should also understand the temporary material creation, because then you become, this is a temporary place. Why am I working for something I'm going to lose? Why do I try to accumulate all this when it's all going to be taken away? When this body goes, my griha goes, my wife goes, my smartphone goes, my bank account goes. It might go anyway, because the bankers are anyway. So the temporary material creation with its temporary bank accounts and temporary demigods, men and animals. So you should have knowledge of that from the philosophy. Knowledge of the paucity, the inebrities of the material creation, how it is unsatisfactory, will remove you from that endeavor to enjoy. And then you should understand Kṛṣṇa. And then you can become attracted. And then the result is, when one knows these two things, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. Ephemeral means temporary, passing, insubstantial. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Verse number 14 of 18 verses that summarize all the Upanishads. Upa comes from upasana, so it means how to worship the Supreme Lord. It directs the soul. So if you understand this, and you must, so it's not good enough just to know that material world is very bad. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but sometimes I listen to classes and everyone is there 40, 50 years a devotee, and the person is just saying the material world is no good, therefore we should I think you know what we should also have a very fine perception and understanding of the Supreme Lord, because that will give us the attraction. It's one thing to become detached, but we should also, how are we going to fix our soul? Now we've removed the soul from the focus on the material paraphernalia, the focus on the body, the focus on the mind. We shouldn't worry, it'll still be there when you open your eyes. But we are now I-soul, we're situated in the soul. So how then do we perfectly know about the personality of Godhead? So perfectly know, you see this, it's very good, prose translations are always the most brilliant. Vinashena. You perfectly know by experience, right? Like we said, sadhana bhakti means buddhi-yoga. You're using your intelligence. I shouldn't do this, I should do that. It's what the Guru said. These are the regulative principles. I must chant regularly. I must study the philosophy, and I must help to propagate the philosophy. Very good. But perfectly well, Prabhupada says. And that means you're experiencing the Supreme Lord. So, now we're situated within consciousness, our focus is on the soul. This is smaranam. We can, yes, shravanam, kirtanam there, but smaranam, how to practice smaranam. So, what does the Bhagavatam say about Kṛṣṇa in the first canto? Vedanta tattvam vidas tattvam yajnanam avyayam brahmetmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti savyate. It says that's what that is like a premise. Kṛṣṇa has three aspects. They're all one. You can't separate them. They're all interconnected, interwoven. They're all one quality. But it's three. There's three. Brahman, which is the effulgence. So many meditational people, yes, I feel Brahman. I'm entering the field of consciousness. Very good. But the energy, if you're properly instructed by Vaishnava Guru, he'll say that the energy, where is it coming from? Just like we have consciousness, right? Some of us. So the consciousness is coming from the soul. So the Brahman effulgence is the effulgence of Kṛṣṇa, Krishna's body. So we may read that sloka, Brahmeti, Bhagavan iti. We may think that the Brahman is here, Paramatma is here, and Bhagavan is here. No, this Brahman effulgence is the effulgence of the form of the spiritual world, of Kṛṣṇa. So everything in the spiritual world is transcendental. That's where the atheists, they become very disappointed. They think, I'm dying, I'm going to become fearful, now I'm going to non-exist, I'm going to fade away. But then suddenly they find that they're not fading away. They're perceiving some form of Brahman, some form of construction within that Brahman. So that is called the virja, that it's causal ocean. When the soul, he goes to the spiritual world, he takes a bath in the Brahman, in the Pradhan. So the first stage of realization of the Supreme, of the person fixed in knowledge by grace of Guru, is that he bathes himself in the bodily effulgence of the Supreme. He purifies his consciousness. The consciousness is polluted by trying to enjoy the material energy. So when we withdraw, the first thing is to take a bath in the Brahman, the presence of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada, one purport, he says, this Brahman is always there with the living entity, ready to be realized. Why? Because we are Brahman. But prakriti sthani kashati. We're struggling with the material mind. But we are Brahman. We are spiritual. But we're focused on the material energy and suffering, raga dvesha. So, properly instructed person, and then what is next? In the Bhagavatam says, Brahmet miti Paramatma. Yeah, so Paramatma is manifestation of all the Vishnu Tattva. There's no Paramatma in the spiritual world, but Paramatma is governing the material energy. So everything is resting upon the Brahman effulgence, and everything is resting, that Brahman effulgence is resting upon Paramatma. And Paramatma is resting upon all the Vishnu expansions. So now we are I soul. I'm feeling relief from the material kuntha. I'm feeling some kind of nectar. I'm able to chant now with desire to attain Kṛṣṇa. And I'm feeling wonderful because that I'm realizing the first aspect of Kṛṣṇa as Paramatma, Ishvara. So in the Dashmula Tattva, number 2, number 3 and 4, they describe, Mula means root. So all the Vedas, there's 10 roots. What's his name? Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote Prameya Ratnavali. And these are the roots, are the Ratna. These are the jewels of the Vedas. First one is Veda Pramana. That means that the Shastra is the proof of the Prameya. So the next 3 are to do with the Supreme Lord, and they are Hari Ishvara. That the Supreme Ishvara is Hari. And then the next one, Achintya Shakti, Achintya Shaktimam. He's the possessor of inconceivable potencies, inconceivable in their variety and in their depth. And then Rasavai Saha, Chaitanya, what do we say? We said last week, Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasavingraha. So the first realization of Kṛṣṇa, which should evoke a certain awe, is the Vishnu aspect. He is the controller. We're now meditating Brahman. I'm feeling purified. But that Brahman is resting upon Paramatma, who is manifestation of all the Vishnus, right? Baladev, Kṛṣṇa expanses Baladev. Baladev expanses the Chaturvyuha. Shankishan, another Chaturvyuha for the material world. Then from Shankishan, Mahavishnu comes. And then Mahavishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Rishikesh. What's it? Shiradakshay Vishnu. And from him, Paramatma is there. So this is the next stage. This is Paramatma. This is Supreme Soul. So, as we realize that Kṛṣṇa is Supreme Controller and I am Angsa, And Kṛṣṇa says in the Gita, what does he say? Aham bija pritak pita. We should feel gratitude because we are created by Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is Ishvara and he has created us. I don't know why he created me. Maybe it was a mistake. But he has created everyone. So we should have some gratitude, right? We don't non-exist. Vibhishan is real. There's a soul in there. Everyone is a spirit soul. And he's given us existence. So as we realize that, in a purified state, we feel gratitude. But then, Bhagavan iti sabhyate. Right? So once you go past this Parameshwara, this Vishnu Tattva, what do you find? In your meditation, what do you focus upon? In the Bhagavad, who is the source of all this Vishnu, of all this Parameshwara? Who is it? Kṛṣṇa, yes. All these big intellectuals, but the simple thing is that beyond all this energy and unlimited expansion, expression, creation by the Supreme Ishvara, there is Leelamaya Kṛṣṇa, son of Nanda Maharaj, the lover of Radharani and beloved of Radharani, lover of the gopis and beloved of the gopis, Prajajana Ranjana, the darling of Gokul. And what does he do? He has pastimes on the bank of the Jamuna. He has pastimes in Govardhan. He protects his devotees. He lifts Govardhan. He instructs Nanda Maharaj, why are you doing this yajna? Better to just worship Govardhan. So on and so forth. He's full of wonderful pastimes. All the anathas sent by Kamsa, he destroys them all. He protects the devotees. The devotees feel so safe that when Aghasura is there, Aghasura is the devouring mouth of impersonalism, what do the cowherd boys do? They think, this looks interesting. A big snake with a big mouth like a big cave? Let's go inside. Like children, right? Children do foolish things sometimes because they know mommy and daddy are there. Oh, mommy and daddy will cover. So the devotees, they're so free of kumtha in this Brahman realization, Bhagavan realization, they're ready to go inside the mouth of a snake. I used to have a cleaning lady, she's gone now, but she once saw a snake, and but it was only a tiny little one, about 6 inches long. Anyway, but then those in Prem Bhav are liberated, they're ready to go inside the snake and tickle its tongue. Well, these are the fangs. So this is what we withdraw from, and this is what we apply ourselves to in order to become perfectly realized. You understand? We don't want to just, yes, Prabhupada says very interesting, very intellectual, let's talk about it over a cup of tea or chamomile tea. We want to directly realize. Just like at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, what happened? Narada Muni, he served the Bhaktivedantas, they told him how to meditate. His mother died from snake bite, the course of time, and then he used to practice his meditation. Right? So we're practicing chanting Hare Krishna, we're reading Bhagavatam, but what did Narada Muni experience by the mercy of the Lord, mentioned here, prasadam? he was doing his morning, evening meditation, whatever, and then he was creating the manasik, the deity, out of the mind, and then Kṛṣṇa entered that and fully manifested himself. So Narada Muni was feeling ecstatic, all his senses were enlivened, his bhava. This is what's mentioned here. He got all the mercy, he realizing Vishnu, he's seeing, and then Vishnu disappeared in one sense. So Narada Muni tried to meditate again, and he couldn't re-evoke Vishnu. So then Vishnu spoke, because there's three forms of darshan. That's in Bhaktivinoda explained that. One form of darshan is bhava, that one gets some bliss, spiritual bliss, and that is distinct from any material bhava. So that is a form of darshan. And then there is vak. Vak means Kṛṣṇa speaks to the devotee in a beautiful voice. You are searching for me. So he spoke to Narada Muni, and he said, Narada Muni, those that are not completely pure in heart cannot see me, but I have appeared out of my mercy to encourage you. And now you continue with your sadhana and you will fully attain me. This is, he spoke. That is vak. First he had darshan, he had the form of Vishnu, then he had the words of Vishnu, and then he attained. And then what happened? Narada Muni explains that as time passed, he left this body, and the explanation given in the Bhagavatam is that just like there's lightning and thunder, they're simultaneous. So he gave up this material body and he attained his spiritual form. So that is Bhagavan aspect. And then now Narada Muni is the great devotee of Kṛṣṇa, right? So first he experienced Vishnu realization, you can view it in this way. It may not always be in this regulated way. There may be some people that just realize Kṛṣṇa directly, so on. But the point is, he realized Kṛṣṇa directly and perfectly. So we should not think that that is just for the book, for Arjuna or Dhruva Maharaj, or this is for every spirit soul. We are made for this. Just like what's today's sloka? Yes. Oh, sorry, that's 72. Can attain the complete mercy of the Lord. For one thus satisfied in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. As a strong wind sweeps away, then Kṛṣṇa explains those, he explains, but then it's 72, I think. Yes, at the end of the chapter, contents of Gita summarized. That is the way of spiritual, this practice of samadhi, this practice of sadhana, this practice of chanting, this practice of studying Bhagavad philosophy. So then Kṛṣṇa sums it all up, 72 verses. That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not samuttena, he's not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, he can enter into the kingdom of God. You see? So, we'll finish on that. And of course, in Kali Yuga, what is especially empowered to enhance our perfect realization of Kṛṣṇa? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That is sound vibration. But we think in terms of sound, but also images within the mind. So smaranam, one aspect of smaranam is, instead of the images of our past activity, we replace them with images of the transcendental world. So we go from Brahman in our meditation to Paramatma, to Bhagavan, and then we install the Ras Leela within our heart. Right? You're reading many times. The devotee sees Radha Shyam Sundar, the Ras Leela, Vrindavan Dham, the residents of Vrindavan, and he installs that, just like Narada Muni was meditating upon, according to the Bhakti-Vedantas. So we replace the images in the mind that are Raga Dvesha, my friend's my enemy, he did this, he said that, I don't like him, his nose is bad, he looks like, We replace all these material images from our past experiences, good and bad, with a meditation upon Bhagavan and his Leela in Goloka. And who is performing the kirtan, the bhajan, in that meditation? Gaur-Nitai, right? The Ras Leela is there. And when it was manifest here, the demigods are showering flower. And who are? We sing every day. Vasu Ghosh. He's got a beautiful voice. Madhurya Mang. Right? What is Lord Chaitanya and Gaur-Nitai? What are they doing when they're dancing in ecstasy? They're performing the kirtan of the Ras Leela. Right? So this is how we integrate everything. Within the heart, Gaur-Nitai, all the great devotees, the Panchatattva, they're performing the bhajan of Bhagavan Shri Kṛṣṇa in his Ras Leela. And we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And when we have that beauty in the heart, and we have the Maha Mantra, where else can we go? So we'll finish on that point. Any questions?